Hey everybody, it's Karyn Bryant for MMA Heat. I'm talking with Angela Hill, who is taking on Rose Namajunas at UFC 192. And listen, Angela, I know this. I'm guessing this one was a little bit tricky because, in terms of the Ultimate Fighter, you and Rose were kind of buddies.
Yeah, like we were friends on the show, and then when Rose was getting ready for her fight with Nina Ansaroff,
Yeah.
and I was getting ready for my fight with Tisha, I ended up going out there around like I think like March or
Uh
something
huh.
this year. So yeah, I definitely like I don't know, like we both kind of assumed that we would fight each other at some point
Yeah.
just because we weren't at the same camp
Yeah.
and we're in the same weight class. But I was hoping that it'd be a little further down the line where they'd be like a little more on the line,
Right.
like maybe like potential title shot afterwards
Yeah.
or something where like, all right, we're gonna beat the shit out of each other, but it's gonna be worth it.
Right.
So yeah, it came a little sooner than I thought it would, but
Right.
like I'm ready for it, and I think she knows I'm gonna bring her the fight, and
Yeah.
I expect her to do the same.
Of course she's going to do that. And that's the thing. Like you said, you guys are familiar enough to know, yeah, that neither of you is going to go in there and like not give your best. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I mean, it's gonna be an exciting fight.
Hmm.
Regardless of whether like we train together or not. Like
Right.
if you, I don't know. Like I remember watching the show and they'd be focusing on like Tisha or someone else getting prepared, and then in the background you see us like going at it,
Yeah,
like
totally.
sparring and beating the shit out of each other. So I think it's definitely going to be an exciting one.
Right.
Like a lot of stuff going on. It's not going to be like the last one.
Right.
Hopefully, I've worked a lot on making sure like it's not going to be I'm not going to get stuck in
Hmm.
certain positions like I did in the last fight,
Yeah.
but also I don't expect Rose to be someone to hang out in a position for a
Right.
long time without doing much damage.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to be like way more exciting than the last one, to say the least.
Yeah, stylistically, you guys certainly are set up more for a striking matchup. And you bring to that a great deal of Muay Thai history. But I want to talk about your new camp because you moved. You're West Coast now, right? West Side.
Yeah, it's been a weird transition. Everyone's so chill out here,
Yeah.
it's been kind of different. But I like it. Like I
Yeah.
like it a lot out here, and like the guys at Alliance and Eric,
Hmm.
he's been just like really great coach. Just
Yeah.
like you can tell that he has a lot of experience, and all the fighters are like
Hmm.
testament to his approach.
For
Like
sure.
he just kind of knows what he's doing. And I mean, and not to say that my old coaches don't know what they're doing, didn't know what they were
Yeah.
doing, but it's definitely a different realm to be fighting on big show
Hmm.
like UFC, and fighting people who have all these resources available for them,
Yeah.
like shipping and training partners, and
Yeah.
having like people from all different walks and all
Hmm.
different like styles who are skilled in still like your size and gender,
Right.
and being able to train with those different people too. So I think the biggest upgrade was having a better variety of training
Hmm.
partners that were closer to my size
Hmm.
and closer to my skill level,
Yeah.
and that way I was able to kind of see where I was at, and I felt like I was able to progress a lot faster
Hmm.
than when I'm like sparring the guys, and
Right.
or like beating up on like the one chick that comes through
That comes
once
right.
a once
Right.
a week,
Right.
so yeah, it's been good. It's been like humbling, but it's
Yeah.
also been like I feel like I've improved a lot since I've been here.
That's cool. Well, and that's great for you to recognize that you needed to change it up. It's a conversation that we often have about OSP. He's a guy that's had the same camp ever since he first started, and obviously he's doing a lot of things well and right. But you know what I mean? He faces a certain kind of opponent, and then he gets exposed. And we've always wondered with him, like if he found a camp that could push him more or something like that, what it would do for him. So was it specifically that Alliance had like Beck Rawlings and some of the other girls that you were familiar with from the show there? Why Alliance out of all the other places where you could have, including Colorado where Rose is?
Yeah, I think I wanted to just get like a good variety.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went out to train with Rose, I saw that it was only really Rose out there,
Yeah.
and a handful of girls that she trains with
Mm-hmm.
at her BJJ school.
Yeah.
And I felt like I really wanted to be able to be in a place where, like, I'm getting as many looks as possible. And Alliance just had more people. Like Beck's there. I think Magana is going to be back soon, but also they have Jessica Penne,
Yeah, exactly.
who just fought for the title. She's really good on the ground.
Well, yeah, just West Coast in general. There's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of places just between where you guys are at Alliance, and if you just come north, between Chula Vista and Irvine, even Orange County, or coming all the way up to LA. There's a lot of places to go. And Dominick, Dominick Cruz, I love that dude. He's like my little brother or something. But he's obviously somebody really special, and to have him and, like you said, Eric Del Fiero leading the way, I think is something really solid. Good choice.
Yeah, no, I definitely get the extra drive when he walks in the room. Yeah. I'm like shadow boxing really lazy, and then he walks by and I'm like, oh, Dominick's here, and then I start like going a little harder.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm like, oh no,
it's good.
See me being lazy, but yeah, it's definitely like an extra push, seeing like people like that walking around. Right. Like Phil Davis has been in the gym like literally like every day during this fight camp, and Ross Pearson as well. He's already back into training. He just fought, and he's already back there.
He's a badass.
Like there's a lot of motivation here, just because I want what these guys have. I want to be able to support myself just doing this and having fun doing it, and just being on the limelight. So yeah, it definitely motivates me, to say the least.
Very cool. So how frustrating was that fight with Tisha? And you mentioned this at the beginning of the interview here, how you really know that and hope that this fight turns out differently. I know it's so hard for some of the strawweights to get fights. It's hard for any fighter really to get fights, because even though there are so many shows, there's a lot of people on the roster, and once you finally get that fight, I know you have a lot to prove and you really want to make a statement. So how frustrating was that for you to go to Mexico City on a card that was, had a lot of eyeballs on it, and have a fight where you didn't feel like you got to do what you wanted to do?
Oh, it sucked, man. It was so frustrating, and I feel like it was even more frustrating than my fight with Carla. Just because like I know, and I don't know. Like I'll say this, and people go, "Oh, you're stupid. You don't know that." But like I felt like I had all the tools to beat her, and I wasn't able to. And it wasn't necessarily like her being, I don't know, like I felt like I still came out of the fight feeling like I was the better fighter, but I had been kind of put into a situation where I couldn't fight the way that I wanted to.
Right.
And so like it was super frustrating, you know, like you're at the altitude, like a lot of people got sick, you know, just because you're dealing with like fucking bacteria and everything, you know.
Right.
So it's like, and, you know, like Tisha, she's over there eating like packaged cupcakes the week of the fight, so like she's not gonna get sick. I eat like a piece of lettuce, and I'm like, you know, about to throw up everywhere. So it was really frustrating just being in that environment where I couldn't really, I couldn't eat properly, and I couldn't train like the way that I wanted to. And then, you know, you're in the fight, you're like on this big stage, you're like first fight of pay-per-view, everybody's expecting a brawl, and then it's a lane play fest. It's just, everything went wrong in Mexico. Like I almost like swore off the entire country just because of that one, because I was like, oh.
And so during the fight, that's tough. And excuse me, during the fight, you know, what's your inner monologue? Like, are you pissed at yourself? Are you pissed at her? Like, do you talk to yourself in your head, like, whilst you're in the middle of this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, like, I think in the moment of the fight, I'm just thinking, why can't I get up? You know, like, I was trying everything. I was, like, trying to off-balance her, trying to, like, you know, get the underhooks. Like, I was doing everything that I knew how to do. But it just wasn't working. I felt like she had, like, an extra, like, weight on top of me or something. And then even towards the end, she had gassed herself out with her game plan of lay and pray. But then like I went after her and I still couldn't like connect with anything. And then, she was able to push me up against the cage, and it was just really frustrating. Like I felt like I was way more weak than I usually was. And it was just like, I felt like that was the worst situation that I've ever been in when it came to fighting, aside from, what the opponent was giving me. Like, I felt like there was, like, tons of things to do. But, that's all excuses, Like, I also feel like if I had more experience and if I, if I fought her again in the same situation, it would be different. So it's just motivation for me to like train harder and keep learning and keep soaking things up, and not getting set and like, okay, this is how I fight. Just trying to evolve every moment and make sure that has less and less chances of happening again.
So what do you think of the division right now? Joanna obviously is the champion, but as I mentioned, it's hard for everybody to get fights, and I know you were kind of peeved vocally about JoJo getting girls that weren't signed to the UFC, and you would love to have stepped in there. Yeah, I mean, how frustrating is that to you? For you in particular, but just in general, that there's the idea that some people are given, people love to say Paige is getting fights that are good for her, and where other girls aren't getting those. So I'm just kind of, in general, your take on the division and how, competitive it is in such a brand new division.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely people that are being protected a little more than others. After I fight Rose, I would have fought like 3 out of the top 6 girls in my division. And that's gonna be my 4th official fight. So it says a lot. Like I'm over here fighting the cream of the crop, not getting any credit for it, but like on the other end, like you have JoJo who's ranked, who's fought no one who's ranked, and you have like Paige Van Zandt, who have fought Felice, but I don't like who is Felice beat, who's ranked, so it's like there's been a lot of I don't know, there's just been a lot of kind of grooming, I guess you could say, for certain people, and it's frustrating when I think about it too much, but at the same time, I kind of I feel more like a badass, the fact that I'm going in there with with very little experience and fighting these top ranked girls, and I think Rose is the most evenly matched fight that I've gotten so far with the UFC.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Experience wise or whatever, when you're talking about like actual like fights exactly. Fight camp and everything like that. But yeah, like I feel kind of cool, the fact that I don't need to rely on the matchmakers for me to have a career. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna try my best, and hopefully beat the shit out of some people and make a name for myself. But like all the promotion that I've done has been myself. Like my little like guerrilla promoting.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, and you're good on social media, on Twitter. You're great. I mean, you definitely have a specific voice and attitude. I mean, and that, as we know, is such an important part of the game now. Do you feel like were you always that way and social media just serves you, or did social media help you become this more outspoken person?
I think a lot of people who've hung out with me long enough can kind of like see the correlation.
You're not quiet. I know I've hung out with you. You've been over here before, and I definitely was like, all right, Angela can hang. She's not, she's don't put baby in the corner. It's not that situation. She's going to make sure she's there, which I can appreciate. Hello. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I know, right? Totally. Totally.
No, totally.
But it's fun because, not everybody can embrace it. And I feel like with your social media stuff, like you get the joke part of it too. You understand, okay, fine, I'll show you. Here's a cute shot of my great butt. But at the same time, I'm also going to make a real comment about a fight that I'm watching or something, like, it's a good balance, which I can appreciate, because some, as it is, some girls know that all they do is work the cute stuff, and some people, only are snarky or mean. I feel like there's a good balance of self-deprecation and promotion, and others, no, it's good. I feel like that's what you
I like
do.
that, yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. I do have a question for you, though. In terms of when you're at the gym, when you were on The Ultimate Fighter, and it obviously there's a lot of African American male athletes in the sport, but there's not a lot of women. And I'm curious, when you went in the gym for the first time, did you expect to see more people like you, or have you seen more people, or have you, felt recognition by more girls that were like, hey, I didn't, you're just unusual in that situation. And I'm curious how you process that.
In the gym now, or on the Ultimate
just
Fighter?
in general now, because I was sort of surprised you were the only one on The Ultimate Fighter, but just in general, I wonder if you see a lot of people like you.
Well, no, it's weird. Like, I was actually surprised when I showed up to the tryouts, and there was like one other black chick. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, where is it? Like, I'm thinking there's gonna be like a handful of like boxers,
you would think,
and like like wrestlers, and like all this. It's like. It's we're athletic, as a people. So I definitely thought to see more black faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely weird to not see it that much. I think the black community is a little behind on like the whole MMA fad. Like,
I agree with that.
I think they're like ready to jump on it so quick. And one reason is because we're just now seeing a lot of champions that are black, but another reason is because, and I was that way too. Like, a lot of people watch MMA and they're like, ew, I don't want to watch that gay stuff. And it's like, if you don't come from like a wrestling background or a grappling background, then that's gonna look weird to you.
Yes.
You don't understand, like, that it's actually a chess match, even though the guy's like balls are sitting on the other guy's face. Like, it's part of it.
No, I know, I get that too. I do think that that's part of the hang up, but when you think about wrestling and you look at a guy like Jordan Burroughs, who is so amazing and so dominant, like in DC and stuff like that, like Tyron Woodley, all these guys that you feel like, maybe some of that would have trickled down a little bit sooner. But yeah, I was just curious what it's like for you, because I know for me, I had this conversation with John Jones like a few years back. We were just talking about something, and that came up, and I said, hey, do you ever look around when you're sitting up there, like, at looking who's covering the sport even? And I was like, how many do you see? And like, not many. And I was like, yeah. And it was funny because it's not something that I necessarily like spotlight or bring up, but every now and then when I have the opportunity to ask somebody about it who's in a similar situation of being one of a kind in many ways, just really curious your take on it. But have you found that you've I don't know if inspired's the right word, but have people said to you, hey, I never thought about it and now I'm considering it?
I've gotten a few of those. Usually it's on Facebook. Like, every now and then I'll see someone in person in the gym, and they'll be like, I know who you are, But like, it's funny because like a lot of the women that have come up to me have seen me on YouTube or something. Like, they didn't even know I was doing MMA. So that's another like thing, if you're not getting promoted, nobody's gonna know you exist. But yeah, like, I've gotten a lot of people like messaging me on Facebook or on all social media basically, and just saying like, hey, I really look up to you. You inspire me to like keep working and this and that. Because it's hard for us. Like, you look at Serena. She's still getting shit. She's been doing it for how many years? Like, I don't even know how many. I feel like I've always known of her since I was a little kid. But she still gets shit for her appearance, being athletic.
I mean, she's phenomenal. I mean, that whole thing is kind of crazy to me that she doesn't. I mean, she gets recognition, but at the same time, like,
it's like, that's a whole other thing. But look at her, like, she's cheating because she's black, and
I understand she's overly intimidating, and I understand it, but it's frustrating to see that. But it's changed, like I said, that conversation I had with John was a long time ago, and it's a little bit different now. It's still not a lot, but yeah, it's weird because I don't quite understand why, like the black fan base isn't there yet. But hopefully, guys like DC and stuff like that will help bring it around, and more people will recognize it, because obviously there's so many great athletes in the sport. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. I'm envious of you guys who get to go in there and punch faces, because I don't get to do that. You know what I mean? I could train a little of this or that, but even when I train, like when I've done boxing and stuff like that, like whoever I'm even just doing drills with, I'm like, okay, like you can't really do this on me, because like I gotta work. You know what I mean?
You gotta use that face.
Yeah, whatever. But then you sound sort of obnoxious or whatever. But
nah, you're good.
Yeah, but anyway, well,
then
cool.
You just go, do you know who I
am? No, it's good. Well, listen, I'm excited for you. I know that you have a lot to prove, and you really want to go in there and put a stamp on it. And I really, like you said, I believe that you and Rose are matched up so well stylistically that it can't be boring.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like it's. The only thing I want to do in this fight is just show that I've gotten like tons better, and you're gonna see it. I feel like I've hit a lot of points that I didn't really hit at my old camp once I got to Alliance, and I feel like everything's just kind of meshing a little better. But at the same time, there's a ton of things that I improved on that you weren't really able to see when I fought Tisha as well. So I'm just really excited to get back in there. I'm grateful because I know a lot of chicks are waiting on the sidelines. I know like Randa's begging for a fight. Even though she blocked me on social media. So I know, but I hear it.
But I hear you. Yeah, exactly.
Fight, they're like, fight Randa. And I'm like, all right, tell her that I said. Let's do it. But yeah, like I'm really happy that I'm able to get back in there so soon, and I just want to go out there and show them that I can kick ass. I'm excited for it. I know she's excited to fight again too, and I'm gonna help her get that ring rust off.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it, Angela. I think it's going to be a great fight. And, if you're up in the LA area, give me a holler. And if I'm down there visiting Dom or coming down to see you guys, I'll definitely let you know.
Cool.
All right, cool. Have a good fight.
All right, thanks. Take care.